Greetings to all, this is God's Beauty Official and I'm back with another message. This message is one of the messages that I mentioned that are going to come after the one about music. Yeah, so the message right now is called Your Resting Time is Important. How a good rest impacts your daily life. As it is the very beginning of the year, let it be a message that helps you along this year. And when you need to be reminded that your resting time is important and how a good rest impacts your daily life. Do you know God rested on the seventh day of creation? After so much of work, he had to rest. He had to rest. If God had to rest, and he never slumbers nor sleeps, he just had to rest at that time because it's like, you can see the whole entire world. He made every single thing. He only rested then. And now he doesn't slumber nor sleeps because he's up 24/7. He has children to look after. He has me and you to look after, okay? But he rested. What makes you think you shouldn't rest? I'm talking to those who once they grasp something to work on, they will never let go. It's like a merry-go-round. Once you hold on, you're gone. You're gone. It's not stopping. You're gone. As those playground merry-go-rounds, those ones that you have to hold on. It's the merry-go-round where you have to hold on and, it spins and spins and spins and the person that's spinning it is spinning it fast. And it's like, now you're in this whole entire merry-go-round world until that thing stops and you but dizzy like nobody's business. So dizzy at that moment that you need a few ones and twos, a few seconds, a few minutes to actually, reset and be like, okay, this is your life. This is because you are still your eyes at that point. I've seen, I've seen kids, and I've been that kid. Okay, I've also been that kid. When you put your arms out and then you turn, and you turn very, very fast while your arms are out and stuff like, that dizziness that you would feel and that you are locked in, especially while you're still turning, you are locked in. You don't see nothing but blurs and you are locked in because now you're used to it. Now it's like, okay. You are so locked in that when it's time for you to stop, oh my goodness, you're out here looking like, you are drunk or something. You can't even walk straight. You can't, and your eyes are literally going back and forth until they actually, steady up and you sober from that spin and stuff. It's literally like that. Like you need to understand that your resting time is important. Okay. And that a good rest impacts your daily life. To keep constantly working, you are locking yourself up in this whirlwind of a world where you carry on working, spinning, hamster wheel, and before you know it, you are burned out. I am so grateful that something like this has come up, in an actual life occurrence. And I remember I was reminded about burnout as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, how terrible burnout is. And I'm so grateful for such an example. Like, it's beautiful how God works. Once you lock in on this hamster wheel, I am telling you, it's hard. I'm trying to emphasize right now that the reason why your resting time is so important is because that time is the time that you need to refresh your energy. Look at this example, your phone. If it has to carry on from 100%, if you have to use it. Imagine you using it non-stop the whole entire day. What happens to the battery? It gets hot. And what happens to the percentage of the battery? It lowers. Now, the more you keep using it, it keeps on lowering. Okay? When it is at its lowest, what does it do? It either, tells you that it needs to charge, right? What happens if you don't charge it at that very moment? I don't know if you've noticed, but do you know that the battery actually goes faster from the time that it tells you to charge? Or maybe it's just me, but why is it telling you to connect with the charger? It's because, number one, you do not have to wait for it to be up, do it. Okay? You don't have to wait for it to be dead in order for you to start realizing that, oh, you gotta charge this. The very minute that it says connect the charger, because it needs to charge up. The battery is literally about to die. But here we are in this generation. In some occurrences, most occurrences, people wait for their batteries to die before they realize that they cannot use this phone anymore. Before they realize that, oh my goodness, my phone is dead. I can't use it because it's dead. Now you need to. Now charging is very vital. And I used that example to highlight that why do we wait until we literally can't do anything in our hamster wheel running, working nonstop? Why do we wait up until the very last minute where you cannot do anything to realize that you really need to recharge? Why do we wait for the last minute where things are literally, now it's like, things are dead. Now, when I was giving that spinning example, now you are feeling it. Why do we wait up until that time before we realize that we actually needed rest? Why do we wait up until we are overworked and worked out, that we burnt out, that we just so done? Why do we wait up until that last minute that we realize that it's too much? It's too much. We can only do as much, and our bodies are now complaining. Why do we wait up until that very moment where our bodies literally shut down? When a person runs and runs, there are certain people where the legs lock. You can't feel them anymore. Why do we do that? This is a symptom of burnout. Do you know that there's certain people that overwork themselves and now all of a sudden you feel so sleepy? It's not depression. You are just burnt out. You're feeling miserable right now because you've been overworking yourself and you need some rest. And that's the reason why rest is important. Because the more you overwork yourself is the more you deter. And the more you get to a point where you can't even do anything. Now you need more time. The very same time that you should have used in time intervals during your working, okay, is the very same time that you will pay up for the time that you are sleeping or recovering. There's nothing to lose. When you rest, there is literally nothing to lose. It's a slingshot effect. It helps you. It boosts you. The same way that you leave your phone and it's charging. There's nothing really to lose because it's charging. You, on the other hand, are charging. There's nothing to lose when you charge. This bit is what you need to know is the most important about recharging. The reason why you need to rest is that sometimes it is through that rest that you are still enough to hear what God is saying in your life. It's important to rest because if you're not resting, you're relying on your own strength. And sometimes, of course, God would let you work and would help you push that extra mile, but He won't let you push that extra mile if He's not going to give you some time to rest. He gives time to rest. Don't pressure yourself so much. I know that sometimes you may have so much to do, especially in regards to the kingdom of God. You may have so much to do, but who said that you have to do it in the short time span? That's the reason why you need to rest. Rest is helping you to dwell in the presence of God. Do you know when you sleep, when you're in your resting state and you sleep, that's when a human being dreams. And one thing you need to know about dreams is that that's a form of communication that God has with people. And why is that? Because sometimes what He's showing you in the dream is something you can't even grasp in the spirit in your waking life. And that's how it's supposed to be. Like we are supposed to grasp these things in the waking life, but here we are. We have to wait up until we sleep in order for God to communicate with us. God can communicate the very same thing that He would communicate when you're sleeping during the day, but because we're not so heightened in the spirit at that time, the only time He can translate His message to you is when you're sleeping, when you're resting. There is a point where you need to rest in order for you to hear from God. He knows He told you to do 1, 2, and 3, and that you didn't do, that you never got to do 4, 5, and 6, and 7. But when He tells you to rest, know that He's telling you, because that's the slingshot effect that will help you through to 4, 5, 6, 7. Sometimes we feel like, oh, we need to get to 4, 5, 6, 7 before we can actually rest and hear from God. No. He knows He gave you those instructions, and He knows that you need to do 4, 5, 6, 7. But for as long as you've done 1, 2, 3, and He says, rest, you better rest at that time, because He may want to speak to you. He wants to speak to you. He wants to impart things in you. He wants to give you that slingshot effect. He wants to give you that slingshot effect that will help you get to 4, 5, 6, and 7 easier, refreshed, renewed, with the perspective He wants you to have. It is to work for you. That's the reason why in sports there's half time. Half time is to give you a break before you carry on. Why? Because had there no half time in sports, do you know how exhausted the players would be? I don't think you would enjoy the second half of the play. And it's the same with schools too. It's the same everywhere. There is lunchtime, there is break, there is a break that enables you to reset, refresh before you go back into doing work. That's also the reason why there's Saturdays and Sundays. And I know that some people work throughout Saturdays. I don't think anybody's supposed to be working on Sunday unless, but even if a person is working on Sunday, that's the day that they probably knock off earlier. If you get what I'm saying. There's a time where people rest. And that's the reason why you have no choice but to sleep at the end of the day. Because your body needs rest. It's a reminder. And that helps you to understand where God has you now at that moment and what is expected of you in the next. It's like half time in sports. The coach needs to tell you, okay, this is how you did. This is good job or nice try, It's time now to focus now. We need to do this. He is waiting to give you the game plan in your rest. He's waiting to give you the game plan for this year in your resting time. He's waiting. You are out there thinking, no, I need to be, I need to do this, I need to do that. I have so much to do. He knows you have so much to do. He knows. And sometimes he sees the way you are looking at all these things and how you think you have so much to do. Whereas he wants you to sit and rest in him so that he shows you that what you think is a lot that needs to be done can actually be simplified. It's like picking up, grains of rice, right? It's like having all that splattered all over. It's like picking them up. You thinking, because you're accustomed to working, you're accustomed to doing a lot of things, and here you are, you seeing these grains of rice and stuff like that. Your first response is to pick them up one by one. Whereas if you rested and you actually yielded to what God is showing you, he would literally tell you, these grains of rice, you can actually scoop them up in some type of shovel. And that's how you discard them, or that's how you, if that example helped. And that's when it's like, oh, yes. That's when, your mind is now remembering that, okay, when you keep on working, you forget the basic things. You would even notice, right? The more you overwork yourself, because challenges are inevitable, right? Challenges that wouldn't bother you from the very beginning, challenges you would take on head first. As you keep working without rest, in that last moment, when the same challenge, and it's minor, it's probably even minor from the very first challenge you've ever experienced that you faced head on, that challenge would come and you would crumble like never before. Why? Because you are already tired. You're already overworked. You're already tired. You're already in need of rest. And when this challenge is, you're already burdened by that, burdened by the fact that you need rest. And now when this challenge comes, even if it's smaller than the one that you could take on the very first time you started, whatever it is, it would feel as though your world is crumbling down. You are breaking down. You are having panics. You are a whole mess with this small, tiny challenge. Why? Because you never sought to seek God in your resting place. You never enabled your body to understand that this is the time period God wants you to rest. And it's time for us to rest. It's time for you to rest. God knows why he wants you to rest. Okay? And this is it. It should show you. If you are that person that's now crying, or that's now, agitated, frustrated by the little things, it's a sign your body's complaining. Your body's screaming to rest. The tiniest things agitate you now. You can't carry out an entire conversation anymore. You're just there, but you're not there. It's your body telling you to rest. God knows that there's much to be done, but trust me, if you're not going to rest now, there's way more to be done then, because you're adding more pressure to yourself. And it's like a car. The more it runs out of fuel, is the more it's heavier to drive, to push through, it becomes heavier until you fuel it up, and then it becomes lighter. And I'm talking about, those manual old cars and stuff. That's how a good rest impacts your daily life, okay? That's why your resting time is so important. Because sometimes it is in that, when you play the game Mario, there's a bonus level that you get to, okay? And through that bonus level, sometimes the bonus level can make you skip a level or something like that, right? Games like that. It accelerates you. You only had to go through that bonus level in order for you to accelerate, right? And that bonus level seems as though it's taking time away from you. However, what I want to explain in this regard is, if you do not know about the bonus level that can make you skip a level, you won't know where to find it or how to get into it, and you won't know about it. So you would go through the game normally, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, whereas you could have stage 1, bonus level, stage 4, God wants you to rest, so that you know that there is this bonus level, so that you never know what he will tell you in your resting period. He just might tell you that, you know what, there is a bonus level and you only go here, and this bonus level is going to take you quick to stage 4. And here you are struggling with stage 1, trying to get to stage 2, 3, 4. Whereas you could have just gotten straight from stage 1, bonus level, to stage 4. It literally is 1 level skipped. You won't lose nothing. You only gained a lot. It's the same with resting. It's a slingshot effect. And that's the reason why it's important. You listening to God so that you are aligned and you know your aim. You know, sometimes when we work and overwork ourselves, our minds fray away from thinking straight, from thinking in an aligned way. And that's the reason why we seem to distract ourselves in any way possible that would convince us that we are working towards what we want to do, whereas you aren't. And that's also a sign to show you that you need to rest. You need to rest. Especially if you're trying to, fill in every single idle moment in your day. You need to rest. You need to rest. Resting enables you to spend time with God. And resting doesn't mean you fill in that time with things that are going to distract you from God. No. Resting means that you reflect on yourself, by yourself, what you've done with God. If you possibly can get away for a little bit. Come to a state of rest where you can hear God properly, where you can, get away from the environment that enabled you to be too busy. Sometimes it's very hard to rest in the place that you kept working in, because you're tempted to work, but if there's no other way but for you to rest in that environment, rest. Do things you never did that promote that rest. Switch your times. If you used to wake up at this, switch them so that you program your mind to say, hey, we're resting. And when you get back on the saddle, get back on track, get back to working, switch the times again. But if you can get away and have a rest somewhere else, do so. Do so. Get that fresh air in your hair. Do so. Get to a different environment. Be there. Have, a refreshing, and set that time to be a time of rest. Tell yourself that you are resting. Don't slide in anything to say, no, I'm still resting, but I'm just going to do a little bit of Separate the two. Separate work from home. Separate whatever you do. Separate business from, separate. If you're taking a vacation, you're taking a vacation to rest. And during that time, be mindful of what God is saying to you, because that's where he speaks the most. The same way when you sleep, you're resting. That's where he's enabled to communicate to you, because your spirit is at rest. What happens on Sundays? Sunday is a rest day. You go to church. What happens at church? The vessel of the Lord. God speaks to you through the vessel of the Lord. Do you see that rest is actually a time where you spend with God? Rest is crucial. That's what makes rest important. He gives you rest. He takes those burdens away. Sometimes you are not even aware that you're carrying unnecessary burdens until you rest and you realize that, I thought I had to do all this, but God, you made it so simple for me to understand that it's not as much as I thought it was. Exactly. Sometimes you're not even aware because you've been working and stuff like that. You've been through this merry-go-round, and the minute you rest, it feels like, before you rested, it felt like, I have so much to do. Whereas God is like, you didn't have to handle that. And things become so clear for you. Things become so visible for you to say that, actually, I have less to do than I actually thought. Rest is there to clear the mental fog that comes along with working nonstop. The same way when you're in the world and you're just operating in your life, to spend time with God is to clear yourself regularly from that and to keep you aligned to His will. Because sometimes we get too busy that we lose focus on the things that matter the most. And that's the reason why we need alignment, so that God reminds us that this is important right now. Not what you thought is important, but this. He aligns our priorities. Especially when you get so caught up, you forget the little things that matter in addition to what He's calling you to do. God helps you to rest in order to help you balance off your life, in order to help you align to His will, in order to help you move further. As you get into the year and you keep working, don't forget to have intervals in between where you rest, okay? Because it is important. Sometimes you go through so much you don't even understand that it's too much that you're going through and you need some rest. And here you are, you have your body complaining, feeling, asking yourself, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do anything right? It's because you haven't rested. Rest. Okay? Okay. We've come to the end of the message, and this is God's Beauty Official. Until the next message, see you and be blessed.